Welcome to Mr. Taves' classroom. This is a brief video tour of what goes on in your students' daily routine when they're in my room. First thing they do once the bell rings is there will be a bell ringer up on the board. It's usually something related to grammar, correcting mistakes. In this case, they start off their day. Every day they have 5 minutes to complete this. Copy this down in the notebook. I take this as a daily grade at the end of the week. If they have all 5 bell ringers, they get the full credit unless they're absent. Next major element of the room there, the middle shelf of this bookshelf, is where all of your extra materials and other things that your students may forget on a day-to-day basis are available to them. The books there are some novels that they may be able to read during silent reading time. After the bell ringer every day, we read for about 15 minutes, plus or minus, depending on the day's activities. And they can read a book of their choosing. They can read part of the passage we're going to be reading for the semester, or they can go to the school library, pick up something to read from there. Over here along this back wall, we see the classroom management tool I use as far as daily expectations and routine for the students. It's called a CHAMPS chart. CHAMPS is a process that I've discovered that works in the elementary level, and I've seen it across middle schools and some high schools as well. It's used at Lafayette High School in Lexington, Kentucky, for instance, with Fayette County Schools, and a few other places. The C stands for conversation level. H is how do I get help. A is the daily activity. M is your movement allowed. P is how do I know that you're participating, and the S is how you're successful. Conversation levels in my class are basically 0, 1, and 2. 0 is obviously no sound at all. 1 is talking quietly between a neighbor, and 2 is working in a group with someone else. How do I get help? Just like any other classroom you've ever been in for basically the entire history of school, you raise your hand. The activity will change depending on the time they're in the class. It could be the activity might read bell ringer, silent reading time, or TDI, which is teacher-directed instruction, which is basically the activity for the day. You might also have, just to save space, I might just put IW, which is independent work. The assignment after I've given the lecture for the day, that's the assignment they're supposed to be working on independently. Once they show me that they're participating and everything's completed, we can go on to other things. And we have our success that way. Success, once they finish the assignment for the day, generally by the end of the time, it's going back. The next thing that they can do after that is going back to silent reading. If they need to work on another assignment for another class, possibly, and there's a little time remaining, if they ask me nicely, I might be generous and allow them to work on something at the end of class. Silent reading time, like I mentioned, the second major segment of the day is a time where they read. They don't do other people's homework, other things for other classes, anything like that. But that is silent reading time. Here's everything else you really need to know about the class. As far as the content of what we're covering and the things we're going to be doing, not just the day-to-day things, but the bigger assignments and a little bit of information about the discipline strategies and things I use in this class, in addition to the CHAMPS chart. First off, the first major thing we're going to be working on as a class is we're going to be working through the Shakespearean play Julius Caesar. As part of this play unit, in addition to going through each scene and working through the dialogue and understanding how people would work on the stage and where they'd be and the purpose of all the directions and other things like that, and who the main characters are and things, we're also going to be talking on a broader level about the elements of persuasion, setting up a good argument, giving reasons and evidence, making certain appeals, trying to convince someone to join in on your side of the argument, I guess you'd say, join up with your team, vote for your candidate, whatever. We're going to, as part of that, we're going to be working on a group assignment where we're going to come up with a advertisement for either a political candidate or a product that doesn't exist yet, and they're going to get to create and design an ad. We're also going to persuade a certain character, write a little assignment to the characters in the play, persuading them not to follow through on their actions. For instance, the plan to murder Julius Caesar, which is a major plot of the play, whether they really think they should do that or not. The second thing we do after we finish Julius Caesar, we're going to work through the novel Fahrenheit 451, Ray Bradbury's novel about a future where knowledge is restricted, and anyone who reads books is severely punished, and books are burned by the firemen. Miss Jones, the librarian, comes in and will give a little bit of a lecture on the process of censoring books and banning books and books being removed from the libraries and things like that, and how in that process as well. In that particular unit, we're going to work on our predictive skills, and we're going to do a couple of assignments outside of the scope of just the novel, where we work on our predictions about what the world's going to be like in 50 years. We do a written assignment for that, and we do a group presentation about our future world, whatever the life will be like in 2060. The last little unit that we're going to work on is a modern play, and we will probably be working through the Tennessee Williams play, The Glass Menagerie. It's a short play. It takes about 2 weeks to get through, and that'll finish out our semester. We're also going to use our persuasive skills again and convince some of the actors in this play not to do some of the things that they did, and write a letter to them as the characters. We're also going to go back over the broader concepts of stage direction and other things along those lines. Ms. Simmons, the drama teacher, is going to come in at the beginning of this particular unit and talk to your students about Tennessee Williams as a playwright, some of the themes that are common to all of his work, and actually the drama students now are actually preparing a version of it done on audio, so the students in the class will be able to perform it or listen to it done by other students here at the school. As far as day-to-day classroom routines, you are, and I mentioned the chance chart before, if the students do not follow the directions and are being disruptive for other things, my discipline strategy is what I like to call the dice of doom. Tell you a little bit about that. I don't really like to send people to ISAP, throw people out, that kind of thing, call in principals, stuff like that. I like to handle all the disruptions in the room with a consistent routine going and following these expected behaviors through the CHAMPS chart. A lot of the major disruptions that might happen in other classes and out in the hallway don't really happen in my rooms, but there are some times where people are off task and other things need to be corrected. That's where this comes in. The first day of class, your students, and they'll probably be able to tell you about what their particular punishments they decided are going to pick 1 through 6 on this dice. Whatever these numbers are is whatever punishment they get to roll. If they're being off task, I'll just simply say, Shane, roll the dice. Amber, roll the dice, whatever it may be. And if they roll a 1, and for instance, if 1 was copying a page out of the dictionary, they'd roll a 1, it lands, they'd roll it again to see how many pages they get to copy instead of going to ISAP or other things like that. Getting a hold of me, you can call me down here at any time. My planning period is the last period of the day. If you want to stop in and talk to me, you're more than welcome to. I have fall sleep duty, so I'm usually in my room from about 2:30 till the end of the day, or I'm making copies that can always be tracked down. Sometimes I help in the afternoons with the broadcasting class, so I may be upstairs, but I'm always a short phone call away. If you'd like to stop in and watch one of your classes, one of your students' class someday, you feel free to stop in anytime. I always welcome visitors. We got plenty of desks. The room's a little crowded, but we'll find a place for you. And if you just want to get a hold of me by email, my email is tim, Taves, once again, TOEWS, @shelby.kyschools.us.